from the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Coming up in the bulletin, American arson investigators due in Ghana tonight to assist their Ghanaian counterparts fish out suspected arsonists behind recent fires. Minority urges government to bring its business to the House in good time to avoid overburdening Parliament in the last days of its meetings. Discrepancies in pink sheet exhibits forces early adjournment of the Supreme Court hearing of the election petition. In business, Ghana Revenue Authority shuts down 3 more firms for defaulting in the tax obligations. And in international news, Kenyans demonstrate outside Parliament to demand a cut in MPs' wages. We have all that, sports and showbiz, coming up.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
Now, our first story, a team of American arson investigators is due in the country tonight to begin the search for clues into recent fires recorded in the country, especially at markets here in Accra. President John Mahama announced American assistance when he visited the Makula No. 2 market, which got burnt last week.
The president, after touring the market last Thursday, June 6th, noted that the team of investigators would be assisting to unravel the mystery behind the fires, which he says were one too many, following suspicions they may have been set deliberately.
America, my almost ma nkofo abeboye abehwe nema ejane sese enti omo a mo store sanction no ebema mo ewura ho akohwe na bibia hye no ebeja ho kakra enche bia be da mienu abrofo no beba omo so abehwe enti ne ombe hu no ye be fire no ne yesu ye fire service for ne ahwe na yehu se obi na ahye da hye edwa na se accidental.
Deputy Information and Media Relations Minister Felix Ofosukwache, who announced the team's arrival today, said it would immediately commence investigations with its Ghanaian counterpart.
Well, I am happy to announce that the team will be arriving today from the United States of America. They are a team that specializes in carrying out investigations into fires, and they have an impressive track record. Ghanaians can look forward to receiving the team this evening, and it is the belief of government that they would assist their Ghanaian counterparts to do a thorough job.
He explained they would be in the country for as long as it took to complete the investigation. Later at the Flagstaff House, the family of former Northern Regional Minister under the NPP administration, Alhaji Mustafa Idris, called on the president to officially inform him of his death and funeral arrangement.
On that fateful Sunday, whilst he was lying at SNIT clinic, even before Brother Umar Farouk called and told me that I should meet him at SNIT. When I got there, I was left speechless because there was nothing left for us to do. Very unfortunately, we arrived at 37, where we were told that we brought him dead.
President John Mahama said having served the state, the relevant arrangements would be made for his funeral.
We had always been very close, notwithstanding the fact that we found ourselves on different sides of the political divide that were as close as brothers could be. He was a deputy minister. He served as a minister in several capacities, and he was also a member of parliament for a very long time. And so government has some obligation in this regard. So on this occasion, on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I wish to ask you to take heart and that we shall be with you in this moment of grief. And so whatever government can do to assist, we will do. I've asked the Chief of Staff to make some arrangements And so after this meeting, if you meet with the Chief of Staff, some arrangements have been made to assist.
Alhaji Mustafa Idris died on 2nd June 2013 and was buried in accordance with Islamic law. The 7th-day prayer would be set for him on Sunday 16th June 2013. President Mahama said the state will be represented, whilst the First Lady Lodina Mahama will represent him.
The minority leaders called on government to bring its business to the House in good time to avoid clogging of the parliamentary calendar. Oseche Mensabunsu made the call today after the House was adjourned after sitting for less than an hour because there was virtually nothing to be done. The only business that was considered was the relaying of a report of the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee report was for the request of a waiver stamp duty on goods amounting to $1.5 billion to be used in the execution of some government projects. The other item to be laid before the House, the $1 billion Eurobond government is seeking on the international capital market, could not be done because the Finance Minister could not make it to Parliament. The Majority Leader, Benjamin Kumbo, then called for the adjournment of proceedings, attracting the remarks of his minority colleague.
Mr. Speaker, as we are all aware, I think we have given some indication that because of the necessity to reconfigure the chamber, Parliament may have to arise early next month. Mr. Speaker, that being the case, we would not want the situation when entering July, Parliament becomes oversaturated with activities that ought to have been done much earlier.
The Speaker, Edward Doajahu, supported the stance of the minority leader and reminded members of their constitutional duties.
Government does not push business, put undue pressure on the House when we are about to rise, so that we can perform our oversight responsibility effectively. But equally, I also want to make appeal to honourable members of the House, both sides of the House, that whilst agreeing that the greater part of business we do in this House is from the executive, the House is also supposed to bring out its own business. For example, question time is one of the tools available or at the disposal of honourable members to use to put government on its toes.
But the majority leader indicated he will not be pressured to bring government business to the floor of the House.
At the level of leadership, I do know this has been a matter of concern. We have been on our own trying to make sure that the appropriate ministries that have business in the House come up. We have also had informal discussions. But Mr. Speaker, I shall assure you that I will not hesitate to make a very serious statement on the floor of this House at the appropriate time on this matter.
Sitting continues tomorrow.
Now, Ghana is said to have one of the highest incidents of child marriage in the world. According to the report by UNICEF, 1 out of 4 girls will be married before their 18th birthday. Well, here is what the North District of the Volta region is doing. The Nkwanta North District of the Volta region is doing to curb the alarming trend in child marriage. A report by Komlado.
Early child marriage denies a girl of her childhood and destroys her future. This situation occurs mostly in deprived communities in the country, especially the northern part of Ghana and northern part of the Volta region. The chief of Basa in the Nkwanta North District of the Volta region is calling for help to curtail the alarming trend in the area. Ubo Kunja Deceit has been embarking on a campaign, Early Child Marriage and Encourage Education. One of such campaigns he organized was a quiz competition for schools in the area. He advised both students and parents to take education seriously and secure the future of the children. He later presented educational items including computers and notebook to participating students in schools. Speaking to Joy News, Ubo Kunja Deceit appealed to the security agencies to help arrest those who force female children into early marriages.
It's like our area where our people still involved in such activities, forcing children underage to marriage. So looking at the whole team, I have made a mind of stopping that thing. And I can also stop that thing if the security or the forcemen assist me. So I try organizing this quiz competition to elaborate the parents about the importance of education.
The northern part of the Volta region has very low standards of education. It is believed that the situation of early child marriage cannot be controlled unless quality education is encouraged. Jerry Comlado's report for Joy News in Kwanta North.
Well, tomorrow, June 12, marks World Day Against Child Labour, first instituted in 2002 by the International Labour Organization, ILO. The ILO says this year's Child Labour Day will put the spotlight on the plight of child labourers in domestic work. Over the years, the day has been used to highlight the predicament of millions of children worldwide who are forced to engage in laborious tasks. According to the ILO, more than half of these children are exposed to the worst forms of child labor, such as working in hazardous environments, slavery, drug trafficking, prostitution, as well as involvement in armed conflict. Ghana is not exempted, as many children of school-going age are seen hawking sachet water in the streets, working as head porters in various markets, amongst other tasks. The children are therefore deprived of adequate education, health, playtime, basic freedoms, in addition to their rights being violated. The ILO is set to release a new report on how to end child labor in domestic work and also protect young workers in domestic work from abuse and exploitation. The new study, the organization says, will provide figures on the number of children involved in domestic work and how they are often vulnerable to physical, psychological, and sexual violence. The police CID have arrested a middle-aged man engaged in the illegal manufacture of locally manufactured guns for the past 20 years. Abraham Otuafo, a blacksmith, was busted in a sting operation.
The 41-year-old blacksmith is said to have been operating in Agomenya in the eastern region with his partner, who is currently on the run. The two are said to have sold some of their guns to armed robbers as well as the general public. The police found various locally manufactured guns as well as the equipment used to make them. Head of the Criminal Investigations Department, COP Prosper Aglo, says an undercover agent posed as an armed robber in the operation that saw the arrest of the suspect.
Abraham Akwete Otuafo agreed to sell 2 locally manufactured pistols to the undercover agent at a unit cost of 1,500 Ghana cedis with a 6-month warranty. Abraham Akwete Otuafo promised to deliver the weapons on June 10, 2013 against payment of the agreed price. On June 10, 2013, while in the process of delivering the 2 weapons to the buyer, Abraham Akwete Otuafo was arrested by detectives from the anti-armed robbery squad of the CID headquarters. When searched, Abraham Akwete Otuafo led the detectives to another shop at Kojonya within the same district, where 4 single-barrel shotguns, 3 double-barrel shotguns, 1 drilling machine and a hammer were recovered.
The police have meanwhile appealed to the general public to provide information on other persons involved in the manufacture of such weapons.
It is illegal under Section 6 of the Arms and Ammunition Decree 1972, NRC D9, to manufacture and assemble firearms, arms of war, munitions of war, or ammunition, including explosives, in Ghana.
Now, the death is reported of the media relations officer for the Misha Palace in Kumasi. Nchubuesiako is said to have died on Tuesday morning at the KNUST hospital after a short illness. His son, who confirmed the news to Insure FM's Kofi Asante, says he was admitted at the hospital last week Tuesday but died today after some improvement in his condition. John Rodro says his father this morning had a brief discussion with some family members who visited him but was shortly pronounced dead after He complained of having some difficulty in breathing. Mr. Bwesiako, until his death, served at the Misha Palace for 15 years after his resignation from the Ghana News Agency in Accra. He died at age 74. You're watching the Joy News at 8 on your multi-TV. We're back after this break. Latex Foam Rubber Products Limited is said to have received an amount of 207,365 Ghana cedis in judgment debt for goods purportedly supplied to the Ghana at 50 Secretariat, even though no official contract had been signed between the two. The company received the amount in 2009 after it went to court to claim delays in payment for goods supplied.
The company's accountant, Stephen Ekuoko Echampon, when he appeared before the Judgment Debt Commission, said it is due another 12,000 Ghana cedis in interest claims yet to be approved for payment.
The Ghana 50 assets, if you can get a short-term loan from any financial institution to support our assets. So we went in for that with anticipation that by May and then they will pay. The interest were being accrued. So
he could, however, not produce any contract document except a letter asking the company to supply some of its products.
The contract document was the letter asking us to supply.
That was all?
Yes. Because they asked us for quotations, and after that they accepted the quotations and then asked us to supply.
But in addition to that, you should have been given a properly laid out contract. You didn't have anything like that?
Well,
you only had a letter.
Yes.
It also emerged that the company delayed in supplying the goods to the Ghana at 50 Secretariat, but Mr. Champon had an explanation.
The reason why it was so was that the Ghana 50 brought in some bears from China.
Some what?
Bears. Bed. Wooden bears from China. And the specification they asked us to manufacture, when the bears came in, it was a different thing altogether. So we have to go back and manufacture to the bears which they brought. That's why the supply went up to July.
The Commissioner, Justice Appel, was however unhappy about the way and manner the transaction was handled. He discharged the accountant but asked him to provide other particulars like the writ of summons and other documents on the judgment debt paid. Sitting has been adjourned to Wednesday, June 12.
Elsewhere, misunderstanding of a pink sheet standard in evidence in the ongoing election petition hearing today forced lead counsel for the petitioners, Philip Addising, to truncate his cross-examination of the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Gyan. This was after lawyers for the NDC, President John Mahama and the Electoral Commission all pointed to some discrepancies in filed pink sheets in possession of the judges and the ones they have.
Claims of the three pointed to what they described as a deliberate agenda to possibly mislead the court.
Accepted that the 834 polling station pink sheets in the possession of the petitioners, which are unsigned, in fact, are unsigned.
My Lord, I can only refer to the pink sheets in our possession.
We thought we gave them a pile of pink sheets yesterday, but
we would resist any attempts to confront Dr. Afari-Gyan with the exhibits they have, in the light of the fact that the exhibits served on us have different exhibit numbers and refer to different polling stations.
We cannot have cross-examination that now pulls up some new exhibits that are not reflected in what we have. That clearly would be improper.
Have they been served? You might have filed them, but the issue is whether they have been served with them.
Well, we don't know. And this is why I've always said that this issue that they've raised to a certain for bringing in KPMG was in the first place unnecessary. All they had to do was to indicate what they are missing.
The issues go a little further than what your lordship suggested. We are saying that what they are bringing in is completely different in terms of exhibit number and code
We are suggesting, my lord, that they are introducing fresh pink sheets to the witness. That is what we have always been saying.
The judges themselves had many questions about the concern expressed by the respondent, eventually asking lawyer for the petitioners to suspend his cross-examination of the chairman of the Electoral Commission on the contentious issues.
Mr. Secretary, do I take you to mean that we should confine the rest of the cross-examination to matters that will not form part of the KPMG report for the time being?
And I am saying that respectfully, if your lordship were to allow those exhibits to be shown to the witness only for it to emerge that they are not in fact things that have been filed, your lordship would respectfully not have advanced the interest of justice in this case.
We are saying most of the exhibits in contention now have not been served on them. So if you continue on that line, it will mean that it might be an exercise in futility based upon the KPMG report, or it may not be an exercise in futility.
Can you proceed without relying on these contentious exhibits, or you have another batch which, because not all are contentious. Some you brought and then said they didn't have 4 of them.
We've given them.
They proceeded.
We've given them quite a number, and we do not know which ones it is they dispute.
My Lord, the problem persists in all.
We thought we will end with this segment today.
So then, obviously, the case stands adjourned to tomorrow.
Up next, we bring you business news. Sea Lane Shipping and Trading Company Limited, Nayak Fisheries and Gentrack Investment Company Limited have been sealed off by the Ghana Revenue Authority for defaulting in their tax liabilities to the state. The companies have been given 14 days to pay all outstanding debt or have their assets auctioned. The district team, however, encountered some resistance at the premises of one of the companies from officials who refused to vacate their offices.
It took a while for officials here to understand the terms of the debt management and compliance enforcement team of the GRA. Gentrack Investment Company Limited in Accra owes the GRA a whopping 423,796 Ghana cedis accumulated over a 5-year period. The general manager pleaded with the GRA to give them more time to settle the debt, explaining he had just taken office and knew nothing about the indebtedness.
Somebody.
The GRA locked up the premises after officials finally vacated. Some of the staff members, angry about the exercise, grew even more furious upon seeing the media and had to be restrained by the security officers assisting with the exercise. The team then sealed off Nayak Fisheries, a coal store in Tema, indebted to the tune of 94,106 Ghana cedis accumulated since 2008. The tax officials explained this was even after under-declaring the tax due on fish they had imported.
Also, Hansel Mining, a company recently cited for aiding Chinese in illegal mining, is calling on the president to intervene and hold a tax on its workers it says are operating legally. The company, together with its affiliates, is worried the attacks are hurting the operations.
Appeal when they met with journalists Tuesday morning. Leader of the team, Edward Kwesi Ekuokun, reiterated their contributions to the economy and called on government to intervene.
We think that government is also benefiting immensely from us as a company. As I put it out there, apart from our social corporate responsibility that we undertake for the communities, building of schools, roads, boreholes and all that, we also pay direct taxes to government. And as I stated, last year alone, taxes paid to government runs more than $20 million. And I believe that if we have 10 of such Ghanaian indigenous companies who will be contributing such amount to the state by way of taxes, then I believe that Ghana will go a long way and Ghana can do a lot of development. But if the government can can, become a machinery to attack its own citizens and their businesses, then I think that is very, very unfair.
He justified why they employ the services of Chinese on their mining sites.
We used to have foreign nationals of about 500, but these foreign nationals were basically expertise, technical expertise. Most of them, we use Chinese technology. That is the basis of these expertise being in our sites. Most of the excavators we use, the bulldozers, the trawl mills, the welding machines are all Chinese technology. Of course, you all agree that Chinese technology happens to be the cheapest in the world now. And so as a company that wants to make profit, we are also using Chinese technology. Now, this Chinese technology, when you buy it, you need to get their experts, their engineers, their mechanics on your site, of course, to service the equipment for you, and also to train your staff for some time so that your staff can be able to service the equipment. And that is why these people are there. But even as at now, because the bone of contention has been the status of these Chinese migrants in the country, we have even decided to withdraw all these Chinese from a mining site. For the past 2 weeks, there's no Chinese on a mining site, yet the task force is destroying our sites. That is why we are asking that question, that if we are a legitimate company, we do not have Chinese on our site, then why are they still destroying our sites? Because the Western Regional site was destroyed just last week. Meanwhile, we do not have any Chinese on our site. So why are they doing that? We think that they are unfairly treating the company.
According to him, some of the brutalities meted out to them included the manhandling of their workers, raiding and destruction of their equipment, and looting of their processed gold. On the issue of the alleged retaliation by the Chinese nationals, they claim the law enforcement agencies, especially the National Police, have refused to provide protection for them, and so has led to the Chinese nationals acquiring pumped action guns to defend themselves. The group believes the collapse of the mining sector will negatively affect the ordinary Ghanaian.
A modem designed specifically for Africa has been announced at the TED Global Conference in Edinburgh. The device combines a rugged design with a range of connectivity options, switching between Wi-Fi, 3G and fixed broadband.
Ushahidi, the Kenyan tech firm behind BRCK, believe Africa-specific hardware is long overdue. Director Juliana Rotish hopes it will kickstart a hardware revolution on the continent. Ushahidi, a Swahili word for testimony, began live designing software to monitor the 2008 Kenyan elections. Since then, its open source software has found worldwide fame and a diverse range of users, from helping victims of the Haiti earthquake and Japanese tsunami to fixing potholes. Users can also plug in a SIM card to offer a network anywhere in reach of a mobile tower. The BRCK has an 8-hour battery and also has a cloud-based software, which means it can be accessed from anywhere to see how Wi-Fi and electricity are performing, or to manage alerts and applications. For remote villages where even a mobile signal is hard to find, there's also an antenna to boost signal strength. The team is also looking at finding cheap ways to hop on to the satellite network.
Next up, we bring you smart investment tips. Dancing Kenyan demonstrators paraded a giant papier mâche pig doused in animal blood outside Parliament to protest against wage hikes for newly elected politicians. A few hundred placard-waving Occupy Parliament protesters smashed the pig at the gates of Parliament on Tuesday, pouring animal blood all over it and themselves and chanting slogans demanding MPs cut their pay.
Protesters also waved fake banknotes and placards with the slogan MPICs. Banners reading "I'm your employer" and "Help the needy, not the greedy" were held at the demonstration. About 200 activists marched to Parliament while castigating the members, locally known as MPICs, for their greed. Last month, Kenyan MPs voted themselves a pay rise despite orders from the National Salaries Commission to cut salaries, making their wages some of the highest in the world. Politicians also defied plea from President Uhuru Kenyatta in boosting their pay back to $10,000 a month, returning it to the rate it had been before a cut of almost 40% was put in place under the previous parliament. Dozens of police armed with batons, helmets and tear gas were deployed around the parliament in the center of Nairobi, but the event passed peacefully. Tuesday's protest follows a demonstration last month in which live piglets were released outside parliament.
The EU is demanding assurances that Europeans are not having their rights infringed by a massive US surveillance program. Justice Commissioner Viviane Reding plans to raise the concerns with US Attorney General Eric Holder on Friday.
A series of leaks by a former CIA worker last week led to claims the U.S. had a vast surveillance network with much less oversight than previously thought. The U.S. insists its snooping is legal under domestic law. The Obama administration is investigating whether the disclosures by former CIA worker Edward Snowden were a criminal offense. Snowden's employer, defense contractor Booz Allen Hamilton, said on Tuesday it had fired the 29-year-old infrastructure analyst for violating its ethics code. U.S. officials say the snooping program known as PRISM, revealed in last week's leaks, is authorized under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. It gives the U.S. National Security Agency the power to obtain emails and phone records relating to non-U.S. nationals, but details about the individuals targeted under the Act remain secret, and there are concerns the NSA is overstepping its powers.
A suicide car bomb has rammed a bus carrying employees of Afghanistan's top court in Kabul, killing at least 17 people and wounding 40 others. The Interior Ministry said women and children were among the victims in Tuesday's blast.
General Mohammed Zahi, head of criminal investigations at the ministry, said the bomber detonated his vehicle after ramming the bus carrying Supreme Court staff near the U.S. Embassy. The blast happened on the main road to the international airport, a few hundred meters from the U.S. Embassy gates. The gates are quite a distance from the actual embassy building and also from nearby NATO headquarters. The area has a number of military facilities belonging to the U.S.-led coalition. The target was 3 minivans full of Supreme Court employees. Eyewitnesses said there are deaths at the site itself. Several Taliban fighters were killed on Monday after launching a gun and grenade attack on military buildings near Kabul airport's perimeter fence. The response from Afghan security forces was widely praised as a sign of their growing professionalism as they take over responsibility from 100,000 US-led foreign combat troops who will pull out by the end of next year.
Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has warned he will not show any more tolerance for protests. He vowed to end the demonstrations if the police cleared Istanbul's Taksim Square, the focal point of unrest for nearly 2 weeks.
Use water cannon, tear gas and rubber bullets, causing many to flee the square into adjoining Gezi Park. The unrest began after a crackdown on an environmental protest over Gezi Park's redevelopment. The protest then widened, with demonstrators accusing Erdogan's government of becoming increasingly authoritarian and trying to impose conservative Islamic values on a secular state. The Prime Minister defended the police intervention on Tuesday, saying that an environmental movement had been hijacked by people who wanted to harm Turkey. In a televised speech to members of parliament from his Justice and Development Party, AKP, he contradicted Istanbul Governor Hussein Avni Mutlu, who had earlier said the police had no intention of breaking up the protest in Gezi Park.
That'll be all by way of international news. Right, so George Otto Jr. is here to bring us the sports news. And our very first story has to do with the return of the Ayew brothers. That's what I call the return of Makunse.
It's news that has been quickening the bones and shredding the nerves. Big surprise that it did happen. From the journalist side, I think that it was always coming. The players were definitely going to come to a point where they would say that we want to come and play. Mixed feelings, mixed reactions. Some feel that it's not a very good precedent that the president had to come into it. But you want to look at it from the fact that the president...
Did they have to take the president?
Yeah, it actually had to take the president. You know, a few days ago, the president said that if the FA needed any help from him, he wanted to do it. I should understand that the FA told the president that do the magic, and the magic seemed to have worked today at the Flagstaff House.
Well,
it has a couple of subplots in there. Does it put pressure on Kwesi Appiah to want to include them in his squad? Remember that these players were not happy because they were not a part of the 2013 African Cup of Nations squad. Does it put pressure on Kwesi Appiah? What happens? What are we looking at? Some also say that, well, the boys have realized we are qualifying for the World Cup and that's why they want to come to it. A lot of
you can't rule that out. And it wouldn't be just the boys. It wouldn't be just Ayew brothers. So I want to think that there will be other players, the SCNs and the rest, who are also looking at the Black Stars making their way towards qualification and thinking that we should be part of this squad. I mean, who doesn't want to play on the
Everybody wants to play the World Cup. But again, we shouldn't forget that it's also good at this point that we need to pay attention to the players and try to find out exactly what their needs are.
I'm just hoping that Kwesi Appiah will be given the option, to choose the players that he would want.
Oh yes, he would be.
So that it wouldn't be a case where we've had these players being called back into the Black Stars. So definitely they have to be filled. You see,
obviously that should be happening, and everything happened at the Flagstaff House. Minister for Youth and Sports, Elvis Afriyankra, as well as Dede Ayew, spoke to our cameras.
I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the President as father of the nation, knowing that football is very dear to the hearts of this nation, and with the objective of ensuring that we get all our best players on board for the World Cup, both the qualifiers and the tournament itself. A lot of discussions have been going on behind the scenes, and the President himself has intervened, and I'm happy to announce that based on mutual discussions and fruitful discussions between His Excellency the President, the Ayew brothers, the FA, and myself, we've been able to come to a consensus, and so you hear those speak for themselves.
As my uncle said, the Minister of Sports, I would like to thank the father of the nation, His Excellency the President, for this intervention and for all what he has done for the Ghanaian football spirit and Ghanaian football lovers. I think today is a great day for everybody, and yes, we are announcing our return to the national team. We're announcing our return back to the Ghana Black Stars. Everything has been settled. We have a discussion. A lot of things have been said. Everything have been wiped off. So now we are here to give 100% for our country, as we always did. Try and do everything to qualify Ghana to the World Cup. Try everything to win trophies for the country, as I did before in the past with the under-20s. And hopefully things will be okay.
All right, they will definitely not be a part of the squad for the Lesotho game, but they would be a part of the squad maybe against Zambia. Let's do some more sports in terms of soccer. And veteran goalkeeper Richard Kinson has exclusively told Joy Sports he has no doubt he will find a new club in Europe next season. The 34-year-old has remained clubless since he was released by English football side Blackpool 2 seasons ago. Kinson, who has had stints with English sides Wigan, Birmingham City and Galatasaray in Turkey, is confident he'll find a new club next season and return to active football after some rigorous training over the last 2 years.
I'm in training, I have a personal coach, goalkeeper's trainer, so I am training I'm training hard. I want to play, and I want to play in Europe. For Ghana now. No, my ambition to play in Europe, and my agent is also working hard to get one of the clubs in Europe. It wasn't true. They twisted my statement. The question was, if you retired, what club do you want to play in Ghana? And I said I prefer to play in. I prefer to play for Kumasi Asante Kotoko if Accra Great Olympics is not in the Premier League. So that was the statement I made last time.
All right, so there you brothers are back. Would Olele Kinsey be back? Yeah, a couple of players want to be back in the Black Stars. You want to be a part of it, isn't it? That'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Addy Jr. It's your live. Will join us for Showbiz. Have a good night.
In showbiz, Koforidua-based music duo Price Tag said their music is so touching that one would spend the last kobo or widow's mite to buy their audio CD just to hear them over and over again and remain inspired. In an exclusive interview with Showbiz, Price Tag said their name alone sets them apart from other musicians.
Nana Kwabna Osei, known as Chacha Black, and Omar Mustafa, also known as Taffy, come together to form the music duo Price Tag. According to them, they have a unique style from the current crop of musicians on the market and bring on board a lot of style into the Ghanaian music industry. And their music, they say, is so touching and heartwarming.
The kind of music that we do, it's very touching. It touches the heart. And nowadays, people don't buy CDs, but listening to our track, you would spend your last kobo on it. And that doesn't mean that our album or CDs have a price tag on it now, but we just took that name just to show how expensive and how modified our music is.
Ghana definitely must watch out for Price Tag.
And then the maiden edition of Bass Awards will take place in Accra, Ghana, and reggae dancehall mogul Elephant Man will be headlining the event alongside Nigeria's General Pipe.
The international dancehall and reggae fusion star Elephant Man will be headlining the maiden edition of Bass Awards alongside his Nigerian reggae star General Pipe. They will be performing alongside Ghanaian and Bass Awards nominees including Samini, Stoneboy, Jupiter Kaki and Natural Face. Born O'Neill Bryan in Kingston, Jamaica, Elephant Man had his first international recognition when he signed a contract with Puma for his single All Out, which was used for the 2004 Puma Olympics campaign. The Bass Awards will be held on the 6th of July 2013 at the National Theatre.
Nabio for Showbiz. We're quick run through our top stories. American arts investigators are due in Ghana tonight to assist their Ghanaian counterparts in investigations into recent fires. The minority is urging government to bring its business in the House in good time to avoid overburdening Parliament in the last days of its meetings. Discrepancies in pink sheet exhibits force early adjournment of the Supreme Court hearing of the election petition. In business, the Ghana Revenue Authority today shut down 3 more firms for defaulting in their tax obligations. And in international news, Kenyans demonstrated outside Parliament to demand a cut in MPs' wages. That's it for the bulletin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.